But Dia, I just all right. I might do a switch over, but let me get like an hour or two in of actual painting because I already kind of did all the get starting stuff as I'm gonna do painting. So kind of at least do a little bit of that while I'm here. Although definitely, if I was seeing a bunch of the rumors today, and I kept seeing a bunch of posts about the what was it, Helldivers, and they had Illuminati on the map for like an hour, and I was like, oh god, if that was the case, I would have switched over to what's it called, Helldivers. Yeah, there was a couple of leaks where somebody opened up their dashboard on what's it called, Helldivers, and they saw the whole third faction appear, and it was there for like an hour. But yeah, I think that's probably why they delayed the update for this week is because they're adding a bit more what's it called, in-depth doodad for all that to work together. So that's gonna be interesting. Um, let's see. Oh, it doesn't have my activity going. Cool. I should probably set that. Online. Can I set a custom status from here? Come on. Add status. Boop, 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 boop. Clear after, let's say about 4 hours. We're not going to be too silly. Ba, 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 ba. Alright, we're going to do that. That's going to do that. Also, I'm super excited for Space Marine 2 coming out tomorrow. I saw some early playthrough today from their VIP streamers, and I popped in so I could grab all the exclusive drops for their VIP peoples. So I have that going for me. I don't know. Now that we got the final times for when everything's gonna adjust for all the early access people for pre-orders, mine's gonna be like at like 9 a.m. So I'm really excited. So far, it looks good. I don't have any major complaints from what I've seen so far, but I'm more excited to dig into it myself. Let's see. I suppose I should actually start painting now. So let's get that. Oh no! So I currently see there is a issue with my current setup, and that is I've got the camera on a gooseneck, and I just realized there's no other support for that, so I'm gonna have to figure out something else down the line. Probably like some type of brace or something so that it doesn't bounce. I'm trying to see if I can get the light to hit it so that it would stay stable, but who knows. Yes, we. I personally grabbed Goose and have him maintaining my camera. But yeah, motivation for art projects. Uh, Honestly, it's just getting the three colors thing for the tournaments because there's another one next week, and I'm debating what I was going to do this or Catachans. Although my next set of minis that I've got on order are going to be coming in on Monday. But there's an issue with that right now too. They like refunded me for like one box, and I'm like, why? And so I'm stuck trying to figure out that issue. But we're gonna wait till the customer service emails me back. So GW Britain has a live text feature, so you can like live chat with support. Because I prefer that to calling, just because I'm just that kind of person. But the American one does not yet, so whatever. But the guy was pretty cool. He managed to send the information off in an email for me, and they'll get back to me eventually. So there's that. All right, let's see. Talk of that. I did mess around with some of the audio settings, so hopefully everything is channeled correctly so that the audio for the music is actually not going to show up in the VOD. But now I don't know if all the sound alerts are working or whether I got them set to the right thing because I had to turn off desktop audio and that's a whole bit of shenanigans. Why not paint some bitches? I don't know if Demonettes would be Twitch terms of service. Well, I guess they might be. I'd be tempted to. Although technically the next once I get more information on Emperor's Children and their book coming out, I'll definitely do a painting session with that. So we'll get some hot pink Marines going out. All right. Webcams. We'll see how shaky this nonsense is. Hopefully, this is a little better resolution than it was last time. Where Robo was complaining about it. So, there's that. And now, ideally, this should... No. It's not exactly much better setup for me personally, just because of how my desk is laid out. But, we'll do this for a bit. I need to at least get this one squad done. I'll leave the command squad for another time. And then we'll go play Void Crew with the boys. And paint. So I think yesterday I did lighter colors first. I think today we'll do the darker ones. We'll kind of just work backwards. Oops. That's not the active model. This is the active model. Haha. I thought I could paint with the screen. I cannot paint with the screen. I have to look at the model. So that's going to adjust where I end up looking, which is unfortunate. Oh yeah, this is not ideal at all. So I can't use the table as hand support. Because now that's going to adjust that, because it's going to shake. Alright. I probably will end up scrapping this sooner than later. Most unfortunate. Unless there's another mounting point. I don't really have another mounting point. Like, the desk was designed in a sense that it would have that. Because it's a, what's it called? One of those flight simulator desks. So it's got all these, like, mounting points and doodads for throttles and other menu items for, like, flying simulators. Unfortunate. Painty paint. I am a dwarf and I'm digging. God, that shaky cam. Yep, that would make a lot of sense. Well, alright, that's cool. uh, existence is pain. Just so you know, existence is pain. God, this camera wobble's killing me. Oh, really? Had you reconsider? It didn't even like. Well, I don't have the mod settings pulled up right now, so I couldn't even like do anything about it right now. I'd have to open up another couple of tabs. Alright. I want to try to keep that centered there. That's going to do that. I want to try to avoid shaking the camera to the best of my ability. That'd be amazing. I don't want to drop like more money into this stupid setup. Streamer. Ha, spelling mistake. Everybody point and laugh at him. Chat, point and laugh. It's a wild otter. Hi, otter. Enjoy me and my shaky cam. We'll suffer through it. No, there's nothing ever accidental about that, otter. It's only that if you're wrong. I need to work on the about section of the thing. I'm supposed to get little boxes done and start adding some more information there at the bottom. I see it on the thing. It bothers me only because I know it's happening. But I guess I could zoom in and do it. I think. Yes, Otter waving his arms frantically in the front. How can I help you, Otter? Look at this guy having arms. So jealous. Why is that not a Kriegsman? Because Kriegsmen are getting a range update in January. So I'm trying to save money until then, and I'll do a full splurge where I'll buy basically the whole range, or at least one of each item that they offer for the pre-order nonsense. Because I am definitely doing that. We will have all the Krieg Guardsmen. All the unique items. Because a lot of the current stuff they have is out of production or like out of stock, allegedly. But a lot of it's still there, so I assume they're going to have to do something. You will have trenches. Oh, I should bring up the display board. I'll try to get a picture of it. Because I did have one using the old Wall of Martyrs set that I had gotten built for a team tournament display board, and so I had guard at the time, a different version of my guard at the time, and they were all lined up at the trenches. They had the tanks and everything, and the nice angled corners with the at the 45-degree ends of the trenches. So it was neat. I liked it. I will plan to show it off later. Did I get his gun? Yeah, I got his gun. You will fight your way up Normandy Beach. Yes, Space Normandy. All of it. You will fight on the trenches. We'll fight on the seas. Man, I wish I knew more of that Churchill quote. Hey, the rest of that thing. Why am I getting a call? I cannot take a call right now. That would not go well. Let's see. Yeah, the current stuff that's coming out right now I have planned is a bunch of Ogren, and I'm going to get the rest of the Catachans lined up, at least because they have a bunch of their old models still lying about, or they brought up rules wise, so that's hopefully going to be next week. Yeah, I think Krieg would be one of the ones that actually use the heavy stubbers or the 50 cal equivalent in the setting. I mean, most other vehicles use them now as general turret weapons, but for the longest time it was stubbers, and like the Kriegers and other Forge World units would have access to the more like esoteric like slug weaponry that you would be normally see in like a classic like 20th century battlefield or whatever, or 21st century. Ba ba ba. I need a few more artillery pieces. I don't know if I actually get the wyverns. I have a set of hydras, like a couple hydras that I can take the barrels out of and use them as wyverns, but I don't particularly think they're that great in this edition, so that is on the back burner for that particular project. But yeah, I think for the rest of this year and probably next year, I'm just gonna focus solely on the Imperial Guard so that I can like build the narrative and do like a whole breakdown and story with the streams and whatnot, or Twitter posts and so forth, as I like build the lore based on how they do in tournaments and what units they kill and so forth, and kind of like do like a crusade roster and like honors system, and maybe we'll start going back and like painting badges and rewards, and we'll probably like do up some icons for uh, honorable actions. You know, where like the last guardsman fought off the what was his name, Avatar of Cain in combat. He like threw a crack grenade and exploded it, because that's what happened in one of the other events where he just survived his squad getting melted by the Avatar of Cain's flaming sword, and proceeded to achieve glory for and vengeance for his squad mates. All right, Otter. I hear your idea. Shoot. Will that stop the bounce? Well, not really. Ba ba ba. A proper wall map. Okay. I think I could steal a bunch of the tiles from. They had a hex tile system that would be built to make your own campaigns in 40k, so you could like have little flags mark your territories as you like played games in a whole campaign setting style. And I did end up breaking it down on Tabletop Simulator, so you could like save your state changes. All right. What you got? It gets better. I may not already like the starting idea, but we could get like our own system going, campaign. What twist will Otter throw at me? Every time a new grid is selected, a player's set terrain. Okay. So what players are we like talking about? Like each people who do the that game? Okay. And that grid gets that terrain for the duration. Okay, so you could have like persistent battlefields. That'd be cool. Now, from like a physical perspective, it would be very difficult to like properly grid out terrain on a tabletop like that. I mean, I guess you could kind of get some measurements, but if you look at how like current 40k works when they're trying to like adjust terrain pieces between a tournament, like that's ridiculous. With computers, I guess you could do that. If we were to like host it on like Tabletop Simulator, that'd be possible. If if that, and then it would be just a matter of just making sure the save files appropriately named so that you've got your grid hex number on it, and then yeah, it'd be doable. Although for some of the missions would require, or I wouldn't say require. I guess it would be recommended terrain types. So you would be either stuck for balance purposes to playing certain mission types based on how objectives place, or something or another. Because that would be the other major limiting factor. But I guess for like a campaign thing, you could kind of fudge that a bit. Column and row. Okay, if we're gonna go with column and row setting style instead of like a hex grid, yeah, they had a whole urban campaign setting, city fight type deal where you could like go city block by city block, and they'd had like a bunch of neat little stratagems or tactics based on what areas you held, whether you had like the power generators or food production sources, or like a spaceport so you can like fly supplies in and out. And then you got into like booby trapping areas. That'd be cool. You could have like players booby trap a building, so the next time somebody plays in that area, it crashes down or something. Teach Dia 40k. So I guess in that sense, would you just end up like rolling on a table for terrain generation to begin with? Like, are we gonna go like in a double blind scenario where like you appear on this world and you can't see anything, so you're stuck exploring everything? Jeez, I hit the camera. Okay, I could see that. And then as you like, you could like send out recon forces and you'd like play those meeting engagements as you like build up to larger scale engagements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's my? Okay, there they are. Actions per turn. So like, an average like 2,000 point game of 40k is like 3 hours of time block. So like, how long are these turns going to take for campaign styles? Are these going to be like on a weekly thing, or like a day? You know, you've got like a week or so to like get your campaign game in, or whether you have those industrious people who have like more time on their hands, how are you going to like offset them being able to play more games? Are they going to only have the one game that counts, kind of deal? I mean, I guess you could do like a, what's it called, like an end war, or one of those other like grand campaign maps where like the battlefield's contested for the time frame, and so whoever wins the most battles on that particular terrain set or whatever could gain control. And you could do that if you have multiple people kind of playing in the same area, because a lot of these armies are like spacefaring and they can like teleport and other nonsense, or they'll have aircraft to drag them about everywhere, and so it's kind of hard to do like a linear campaign in that sense and justify it. in a way that won't cause too much pushback from the players. Hardcore people have to sweat it out and wait. Oh, but I want my games to matter. I want my campaign troops to be constantly in the thick of it, gaining experience. Let's see. What are the issues or concerns I've got for that? Ba 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 ba. I have no paint. Because, let's see, a local, well, they're doing it more on a competitive basis than like a campaign thing, so they would have it so that they lock in the rules for like for 6 weeks at a time or so, and they would do essentially a tournament, but based on like 2 weeks to get a game in, just because schedules and such for everybody involved, because there's been times where like you can't line up days for like almost a month just because everybody's got their own thing going on. But other than that, it's cool getting several games in with the same faction or army because you're kind of stuck. But then also, if your faction gets an update, you're stuck using the old rules, and so you got to make sure to keep an eye on that, whether you've had the right stuff downloaded, so you don't accidentally play with things that have been misadjusted. Hey, it's a wild sushi. It's throwing fluffy bunnies at me. Dang it, I forgot to add the hit markers. Oh well. My hands are currently occupied. More games would require talking. Alright, there's that. Heavy warp storm. Okay, teleportation, spacecraft interference. I guess, but then that also changes a lot of balance for a lot of these units, just because of how they're able to perform. Well, I guess if you're going from like an overarching story thing versus a gameplay mechanic, like I could see making some sacrifices here and there. Give some incentivization to like complete story missions, because it's a balance of like whether you're gonna go for like full gameplay or you want to try to do like a story with the armies, and like a campaign or like D&D campaign style where like you're going to do this, that, and the other to do the thing, versus we're just gonna play straight up games on the weekly or whatever, which I think is a neat idea and a change. There's just the big issue is trying to get a third party to be invested to kind of like GM that. I mean, you can kind of go with like a paper rule setting, but there's a lot of nuance that you can't quite plan for that'll need like hands-on adjustments that can't quite be covered by a living document. Yeah, because I could see it like it'd be neat to to be able to you're stuck building an army and you can't use your
Fear
drop
me,
troops
but
because the
follow!
hey, Master of Demons, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the trench line. Got some Cadians on the field now. Oops, I'm a little low off the camera here. Next week, hopefully, I'll try to upgrade this so I can get another brace or something up. I remember seeing something on Amazon where it had like a couple bars that went across and you can get the camera on an up-down thing, so that's plans for improvement. Capture points, comms relay. Ooh, yeah. Enable aircraft. Or just have it like as like an event or whatever, you know. It's like, oh, the sky's cleared up or some other nonsense, and now your reinforcements from orbit can do things. But yeah, I always like the idea of like building to fit weird out of cage scenarios where it's like, well, yes, you have like 100 Terminators, but you can't use them all the time, every battle. You know, there's got to be some like wear and tear that you've got to deal with, or the logistics of keeping, you know, 100 Terminator suits of armor in pristine condition, difficult to maintain over a long campaign. You know, kind of give that penalty to Marines to be like, hey, you guys are shock troops. You're not supposed to be, you know, digging your way through every battle because your sustained engagements are going to wear down your war gear. You may be the Emperor's finest, but there's only so much you can do when you have no bolts for your bolter and whatnot. Or you know, you'll get those situations where your guardsmen have no ammunition because supply lines have been cut, or the Tyranids have run out of biomass and they're in that survival mode where they're trying to do hit and run attacks so that they can build up their forces, you know, as you go along the different factions and their reasonings. Your Chaos Marines doing raiding parties. Let's see. Mechs and robots. Oh yeah, or like sandstorms, like the or having like dune worms just wandering about eating large vehicles so you can only use light infantry. At least in like certain areas. Or just going like underground, you know. This particular segment is only fought in like boarding action tables, so you've only got 500 points and they're all in these like narrow corridors. That'd be cool. I would love to get like a permanent roster and have like, so these tanks and this like company of infantry style is going to be over here in this area, and this is my like crusade roster that I could build my army lists with. I would love to do something like that, but it's just hard to try to like organize that. We have to go under into the mines of Moria. Yeah, I think that's enough for shoulder pads. We'll always come back and touch things up later on. I just need paint on minis so I can use them. I mean, paint on minis so I can use them so I don't lose my 10 points. That's 100% what I'm here for. Yeah, Dia needs fleshing out. Yeah. Oh, I believe it. I would love to get something going and kind of just do like monthly recaps or whatever. I will definitely bug you on DMs later. Shield, shoulder pads, go across and around. I've been torn on squad markings for these guys. I think I'm just gonna resolve myself to like doing like shapes in a weird color on the shoulder pads. So like first squad's gonna be like a circle, second squad's gonna be like an X, third squad's a triangle, and so forth. sit and deal with the orcs in the north. Oh yeah. Also, Kill Team's getting a reboot in October, and they've got a big, huge lore thing right now with a planet that's got these like giant macro cannons that are like literally like etched into the side of the planet, like Death Star type deal. They like reach up into the stratosphere. It's ridiculous. Missed the spot. Thank you, thank you. Missing a lot of spots here as I kind of just meander about. Hold on. Like, yeah, vicious mockery hit me. Let's see. So many guardsmen. Because I think for the unique regiments right now, I've got like 40 of each guardsman, so 40 Cadians, 40 Kriegers, 40 Catechins on the way. Then the regular guardsmen, I've got like the full 120 blobs, so trying to get everything painted up is always a pain on the mental motivation, trying to figure out if I'm actually going to do the thing or not. So ever the grind to paint more minis. Let's see. Heck yeah. And like the result of the sabotage thing is, you'd get like 500 points on your next deployment, or some other nonsense, or you get one less CP. I think we could look at some of the other negative effects they have for like the competitive cards, or they used to have. Oh, gold trim. Yeah, that's true. No. I'll have, or maybe not gold trim. It'll be silver trim once I get the silly scions. Once they get their kill team update, I'll have another 20 of those guys to build up. One, because I like the kill team aspect, so they're basically just gonna get built of as like one of every option, and I'll just get 2 boxes. Whether or not it's actually good in a 40k standpoint is secondary. I just kind of like collecting kill teams, because that's kind of what happened with the Castrigan. Like, it's not effective to have a flamethrower, grenade launcher, plasma gun, las gun, or whatever, but I like having the options for the other games. Love the plastic crack. Old, or for the campaign stuff, older game modes that I remember seeing was like really uh not big at the time, but it was a neat idea. Was like full tank armies. Yes, boarding actions. I love boarding actions is good. The issue I have with that right now is it's not. They say it's balanced, but they have like a lot of units that are still kind of like been written for a previous version of 40k that was out, especially since all the balance data updates kind of like tweak things since then. So it's a little unfortunate in that regard. Also, their rules that they have posted, like commonality on the website, don't line up with some of the rules that are in the book that are out right now. especially for like the old mustering forces, because you can technically still use the old muster rules, but then you wouldn't get any of like the fancy enhancements that you get now with the themed boarding groups, like the All Terminator one or the for the Space Marines or so forth. Man, I got a couple of the kill team boxes for boarding actions so that I could have all the terrain, and then I had a buddy who got really into it, and he ended up getting all the special sprues and everything for the extended ones from like eBay and whatnot, and he just pieced together everything. Oh, and I think he actually bought the terrain piece rather than buying the kill teams, so he ended up getting the big box with just the terrain. So that's interesting. We try to do that occasionally, although the door hatches are always finicky to put together. But it looks so nice. It's such a neat game mode that like really drags you out of the whole. I'm gonna take 5 giant knights that are just gonna stomp over everything, and you can't do anything about it because you only have 1 or 2 anti-tank weapons, and I'm just gonna walk around with impunity because the big knights will just murder your other anti-tank weapons, so you're just stuck trying to like throw grenades at walkers and whatnot. Granted, I'll do the same thing occasionally back where I just bring nothing but like Leman Russes. Don't remind me I have to paint the terrain. I need to get that dragged out and airbrushed so that I can at least get the base colors on. I don't know how in depth I'm going to go on that terrain. Like, I've seen some people go really in depth on some YouTube videos where they get like custom floor tiles made, and they like 3D print a whole base so that you can like stand a light box underneath it, so you could have a second floor underneath for like cutting into the tiles, so you could like have it lead into like a allude into a tunnel system, or like air ducts, or hooking up LED lights and everything. So that's my excuse as to why I haven't done that yet, because I'm planning on doing that as one of my like ADHD projects. So I'll get to it eventually. Kind of like this painting, where like I have a bunch of guardsmen I got to paint. We'll find some reason to force myself to do it. I've got a resin printer I've yet to fully set up, so I can get some cool files I ended up grabbing on the web, because now that Shapeways is bankrupt and they're closed. Uh, Dropping bottles in a bucket. I was really tempted to do that quick shade ability, or not ability, painting technique with my Tyranids, where you just threw them in Army Painter quick shade and like shook them off, like you dipped them in the bucket. But I don't know. I'm a glutton for punishment, and I like painting models. But don't tell myself that, because I hate that. I like the look of a painted model versus like a dipped model, but I can't bring myself to actually do the thing. You ever have that contradiction in your life where you're just like, I like the thing, I just don't like the steps getting to that thing. Do both. But the issue is the you can't quite dip the terrain, in the sense of a lot of it is just big enough to not quite fit in a bucket. I mean, I guess if you get like one of those really large buckets, but then depending on the paint, you'll end up losing a lot of detail because you've got the door panels, the wiring, the cables, and so forth. Drop to get the paint color, paint over the details. I mean, I guess it just depends on how thick it is. because sometimes it'll just blob up over it, or it'll dry in pools and cover up things. Because a lot of it's got a lot of like recesses and whatnot, and if you get too much built up, you can't like
fear me, but
pinch some of the
follow.
doors. Hey, welcome, Vampira 511, 5511. I need to update some of these things. The hammer or the bat was a stand-in just because it was one of the other random gifts I ended up drawing up for other reasons, but sitting down and actually drawing because I only draw with the Procreate on my phone, and so I'm only using my finger. I tried getting like a pen stylus to try to do that, but I just can't quite manage it for whatever reason, so it takes me a little bit longer to draw little doodles comparatively. I'm kind of like Sushi in that regard. Yo! Welcome to my painting stream as we ramble on about the mysteries of mankind and potential campaign shenanigans for Tabletop Simulator nonsense. As I blare Darktide music in the background. But don't tell him that. Oh, this camera thing's killing me. Let's see. Yeah. Let's helmet. Go back to the shoulder pad once I get morale again. As I slowly gaslight myself to finishing my army. But yeah. Hopefully I'll get a whole, like, I forgot what they were called, TNE rosters out for the different things, and I'll try to get, like, deployment statistics and so forth, and hopefully go for a mix of lore and, like, competitive statistics as I go to, like, different events throughout the year. Because that's my plan right now is I'm gonna coordinate everything and get everybody like numbered and labeled, and so I can do like chess notations, and then I can try to get some battle reports and play-by-plays for recaps on like YouTube and whatnot. Because I really like the style of some people who can get like all the important information out and like not bore people with like the rules for everything, because not everybody's gonna know every unit's rules comparatively. Like I could barely keep track of like some of the factions that I don't own or play, and it's like, all right, cool. I know that's bad. I know that this a gene stealer is gonna like claw people's faces off, but I don't need to know that they advanced 7 inches and assaulted 6 inches when you could just say, oh, they ran up across the board and nommed their face off or some other nonsense like that. But yeah. So that's in the pipeline. That's hopefully something I can try to manage. I got a couple of videos I'm basing off of inspiration for that. Let's see, we got shoulder gun, knee pads, helmets. I got the rest of his torso I need to finish off here. Because I really want to like share the exploits of, you know, the Bulgarian squad who failed their 2-inch charge over a crater back in 5th edition because the crater imposed a -2 penalty movement to charge. And I was just like, why? Or I think it was a unit of Terminators. Yeah, it was a unit of Dark Angel Terminators charging some guardsmen, and it was a coin or a term I coined for a buddy of mine who just rolls so poorly, where you snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, because all he had to do was just kill those two guardsmen, consolidate on the objective at the time, and he would have won the game. But he threw it. The good old Dark Angels, first company. No, my Marine army is the Ultramarines. I didn't throw it, but I can't appreciate the Raven Wing and the Death Wing, or the Dread Wing as they do it now in the Heresy. Man, I miss having my army of scouts. I'm really sad they took away the land speeder storms. Although, I guess in a sense that brings me back to my army archetype of like humans in carapace armor doing impossible things, because scouts are on their way to being space marines, but they're not quite space marines. And yeah, Ravenwing are kind of on the decline right now. There's just something about vehicles and how their durability and results in game winning. So yes, you could be fast, but if you can't punch harder because all your weapons are only like strength 9 or whatever, then you're gonna have a bad time in this edition. Versus, like the Deathwing, where it's like, oh, we've got all these objectives that are our vowed objectives, and we're 4 up Terminator armor, or 4 up invulnerable save Terminators with 4 wounds that are punching everything in our sight. I had high hopes for the recent book release for Agents of the Imperium, because I was like, oh yeah, they're bringing back Inquisition, and I was gonna be able to do the old Inquisition Demon Host army or whatever, and have uh, stormtroopers with Grey Knight Terminators and like chimeras and whatnot. But yeah. Oh, I know. A buddy of mine has that list going on right now. He's building up to it. It's such a pain because they're like better Blade Guard with character support. I can kind of mimic it with like some of the Ultramarine characters, but it's such a pain because of their lethal hits, sustained nonsense. Yeah, that's what my buddy calls them too. Azrael and his hookers. You're just wandering about, doing their thing on the battlefield. Alright, where is the brown? I need gore. No, I don't need that. I need black. No, I need the brown. I'm looking at the wrong unit. I have another unit on the board here for reference, so I can keep things at least somewhat similar between painting sessions, because they kind of forget. And sometimes you'd be like, oh yeah, they're painted this way, and I pulled up another set of Death Guard I had, and it was like, oh no, I messed up their painting order, and ended up painting something a different color that was supposed to be another one. So now I try to make sure to keep a current unit that's painted and in progress stuff, so I don't make that mistake again. World Eaters are better though. I don't know. World leaders are kind of stuck on the melee dynamic, and they kind of rock paper scissors depending on what type of terrain's on the board at any given event. A lot of GW stuff is kind of okay, but once you get into like player placed, which although they're moving away from that in a lot of the other major events, so that's something else to look out for. Try to keep everything on the up and up on that. Do 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 do. Alright, now I'm going to drag these guys back to the side so I know that they're in progress stuff. And then we're going to loop around to everything else. It's a wild Suna. Alrighty, dear. Have a good eat. Actually, what is the time frame on this? Now that I thought I'd think about it. It's been about an hour. Alright. Yeah, I think tomorrow I'm going to try to get Space Marine downloaded on time. I'll try to work on some of the other things in the in-between. So much to do, so little time. Because I know everyone else... Not everyone else, so there's a bunch of other people that I also like follow along with. And they're planning on playing it too, so... Hopefully I can nab a tag along the way. I have pretty high expectations. I saw a little bit of the playthrough from some of the VIP streamers that were on today, so I could get some of the unique skins. So far, I think it's a solid contender with, you know, my playtime between this and like Helldivers 2 or whatever. Oh, I gotta repaint that boot. Haha. Gotta go a little higher because I gotta keep on that 60 here. Okay. And then... Because from what I saw, there's a lot of like cosmetic stuff, and it's just really built for like that grind. So you're just constantly like completing missions to get all the different unlocks. BD. No, I don't know what that particular acronym is. An acronym. Is it an acronym? Shorthand. Not shorthand. Otter, what is BD? Abbreviation, there you go. Oh, I see what you did there. I see. Bad decisions, stupid mistakes. I do that all the time. It's true, because you're trying to keep track of like 3 different things, and it's along with whatever like other random notifications you see pop up, and you're like, oh, that's right. I was having a cohesive thought a minute ago, but now it's gone to the ether. Do. It's called getting old. Yeah. I heard people tell me don't get old, and I'm starting to think they're right. Become the stream of consciousness. No. I stopped playing Tyranids for that reason. Yeah, my suspicions were correct. Okay. Yeah. Once a couple of those what's it called? Sayings came through a couple of times. They're like, wait a second. Oh well. I think I got a thing on that. We'll have to come back to that later. We'll do some touch ups off cam. For sure, for sure. I mean, I'm just gonna say you threw me off with the name there, because I went with the other one. But then there were some parallels with the World Eaters and something, and the Inner Circle. But oh well. I need to paint some more. I just want to get, what, 2 more colors on? Just so we can get the rest of this brown, the black on the boots, and then the gray for the different, like, upgrade weapon materials, so like the barrel, the shovels, and whatnot. And then I'll call it for this 10-man group, and we'll switch out to something else, or raid out. Because hopefully we can get some brand recognition, and I can hit the next milestone here. And then I could finally start getting the silly toggles, so that I could add the squib and whatnot for the little character here, and it'll bounce around or whatever. Sweet. I don't have to like remember to go push the button or whatever or something. Wee. Yes, yes indeed. That's why the other guard platoon has brown pants, because they know what's coming. These guys are a little more hopeful. Bleh. Here, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna grab some more water, so I'll be right back. Give me a couple minutes. Ah, yes, yeah. It's a silly little ad I added to help alleviate just the usual static BRBs or like quick drawn. Thank you, thank you. Now the real question is, did I remember to clean the paintbrush off before I left, or do I have dried paint now to deal with? Okay, it's just normal wear and tear. That's the other issue of trying to work with brown. You can't tell if the you've got dried brown paint or if it's just the brush tip itself. Okay. Now that I got more water, I can survive. I clearly have the paint cup in an entirely separate container so I don't actually accidentally sip the paint. You say that, but the white brush is not going to stay white very long. And if you like chemically bleach the brush, then you're significantly weakening the strength of the bristles, and they're not gonna stay keep their point for much long or very long. And so there's the balance of using your painting materials, but not so that they go into the ground too soon, because these are annoyingly expensive at sometimes. I remember getting these as part of like a big paintbrush set though, so it kind of offset the cost a bit, but I still don't use a whole lot of the other brushes because I don't do a whole lot of detail work on these, at least for the line infantry. I might go about it for the characters and whatnot, but still. Boop, 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 boop. Dark Tide. Close enough. He'll go over there. Next contestant. You've got the boots. That'll be a dark color, so not too big of a deal over brush on that particular segment. Nah, I'll probably just call it at the hard hour. At least for stream. Why did that get dark over there? Oh, okay, it's adjusting brightness based on where the hand is. Wee. And next, the beast. You got so many random little pouches. Why? You could always just have a Logi truck. Well, I guess technically these guys aren't always run as mechanized, so I guess they get stuck with a bit more webbing. So I think that was a distinct feature of like the Steel Legion minis, where they would just have the coats and the basic weaponry, because they're always kind of expected to be within logistical range of vehicles, and if they weren't, then they weren't exactly going to need the other supplies, because things would have been that bad. I should probably get the Commissar Yarrick built up as the character. I think I have a spare Krieg guard or Krieg Commissar I could repurpose the head from and kind of build up that as the physical persona. I don't know if I'll be able to do rules for it or not, but I would really like to keep the Power Fist. We'll see if they get an update in the new edition. Although, I guess technically the current box set doesn't have those weapons. Because I think it's just a Power Sword or Chain Sword at the moment. And they're kind of moved away to, you're only going to be able to build what's in the box. Yay, webbing. Don't you just love these line details? I mean, they look nice once you like get everything color blocked off, but the effort, tell you what. Alright, close enough. Next contestant. Leave that there. Grab a sit. Not enough water. So this particular minifigure is a regular trooper, or your basic guardsman. The particular regiment they're from is Cadian, or Cadia, and their planet was recently destroyed in lore-wise, so they're kind of like Alderaan survivors at the moment for 40k. Not at this time. He has not earned a name yet. So this particular unit's ability, rather than being like their basic line troop for the overall guard, is they sticky objectives. So whenever they walk or they started to turn on an objective, it's counted as under their control until someone else wanders onto it and takes it. So you could, for gameplay purposes, you could hold an objective and not actually be on it, and so they can run off and do other things in the area and not have to worry about being stuck on there for scoring points purposes compared to like some other armies. I mean, the ability is like shared like in the game overall, but some people get it as like an upgrade point, or you have to like spend some form of resource for it. Billy Joe Jim. Of course you would. I have to write that down somewhere. Don't need distinct markers now. I'll just mark his base. You overestimate the ability to actually like write on this. There you go. Billy Joe Jim. And I'll just come back to the VOD or whatever to figure out what the actual name was, or I'll write it off with the Discord or something. You will truly live up to your expectations. I can feel it in my bones. Thus begins the illustrious career of Guardsman Billy Joe Jim and his great exploits across the stars of the Emperor of Mankind. I need to figure out what the name of my particular like army group is called. I want to get like a campaign badge, but I'm still working on that. I don't know if I was gonna do something like simple as like the Commissar head or hat, or do something like 3 claws and a diamond or some weird thing. The Gomer Plies. No idea what that is. The P. Is it the bird? I don't know. Might have misspelled that. Oh well. Or I might just grab something off of the transfer sheets now that I think about it, because that'll be easier than trying to like hand paint an icon on all 11 billion guardsmen that I've got. Full metal private power. Gomer Pass. Oh. Got it, that guy. I think that's the guy that I'm thinking of. But it's been a minute since I've seen that movie. I think I saw it like back at the high school or whatever. Yeah, going back to keeping track of the tournaments, I want to get a badge for like the different like LVOs and whatnot. Oh, okay, so I could just borrow their icons and just do that. Although I guess some people or some models will just get more stacked with icons than others, so I don't know how I'm going to handle that. Just because of whether rules purposes or whatnot, or just favorability. We'll kind of have other models more than others. Well, no, I guess that'll be a way to diversify list building, so I'll be like forced to take other things as so many units have been, or such and such units have been on so many campaigns that they couldn't record markers for them, so that would help me diversify my list building options. So we'll go with that. And then I guess we'll go for like unit banners and just go get I've been seeing a lot of these videos where old technique, I guess, was where you would get like what was it, old edition of Warhammer where they did banners out of tin and like brass rods, and you would build that onto like the backpacks of the regular Space Marines. And so I could do something similar and just get like platoon banners and just have them on a base and just use them as like objective markers or whatnot for other things, and then I can have, you know, platoons honor roll. I mean, I'm pretty sure there'll be a rules use for it at some point that I can probably mark it as, or just for like the painting board and just have it like mark out, you know, this such and such unit's been on such and such campaign by like however many little icons that are on it, and just kind of like sticky sheet the kill like aircraft kill icons all across the side of it, or like in a circle around the banner. Okay. Sounds interesting. His arms. Arms. Harness. Webbing. Something or other. Brain fried. Delusions of grandeur were too strong. I've lost myself in the sauce. Oh, it's shaking the camera too much. I gotta really not move the table. In hindsight, that was not a great mounting point, but oh well. I mean, it kind of works, but I need something to get that third point of contact. Well, no. It works fine as long as I'm not messing with it, but I have to mess with it a lot. Let's see, that's on low power. All right. That's another list of fires I gotta put out. Is get another cable for that, because the VTube Studio is not connecting from this particular cable, and that's because I think I broke one of the pins on the USB cable. So it'll kind of charge at like a slower rate, but it's not gonna send information like I needed to across. And so I've been stuck trying to do the character thingy over Wi-Fi versus the cable like it's supposed to. Although I could probably just change the disconnect noise to like nothing or not play for when items connect or reconnect to the computer, but I also like the ping when it's not incessantly going off. Just for like a highlight or whatever the day, just grand ping. Because why not? It's a silly noise. I think this week there's no D&D for the other group, so I could probably do stuff on Sunday after work. Here. But we've been on hiatus because one of the players has had house issues, or it's like buildings literally crumbling around him. And he's been pushing the city, whatever, to get on the landlord's case about it. But hopefully things are on the move again for that, for the better. Jeez, I gotta not shake the camera, please. It just bothers me because I can see it on the other monitor as it moves, and so it might not seem that bad, but I'm only seeing the periphery in it, and it's very exaggerated for me, I guess. Oh well. I got 5 more guys? 5 more guys. We can do this. It isn't? Okay. Alright. I'll take your guys' word for it. I will stop hyperfixating on it. I will trust in chat. Because if you can't trust chat, who else can you trust? Right, chat? Chat would never lead me astray. Except for that one time on that Mechanicus game where they sent me down the wrong passage. Let's see. Oh, that's supposed to be green armor. I have to come back with that. I missed the spot. Somebody was right. How dare they be right? This is my stream. This is my land. Stupid colors. Color. Focus. Focus. Ah, the inspirational music. I love it. This is one of my favorite tracks. Just the chorus, the chanting. Da, da, da. I should play more Dark Tide. I think they got an update recently, now that I think about it. I remember being so excited when they had the Commissar update so I could build my silly hat and have the chainsword and whatnot. Even it wasn't particularly meta build, but it's cool playing the character. Although a lot of the people I usually play with were usually on now when I'm at work, so it's kind of hard organizing game that gaming session. Let's see. So I guess the overall theme we're gonna like for the army group. I need to come up with the army group task name because technically it's under the Leontius character, Lord Solar, but I want to get like a thing for the overall name because ever since the Heresy Guardian, it's got broken up so that you can't. You're not supposed to have combined arms forces for your guard regiments. So one commander going rogue and saying, "Oh, listen to me. I'm really the guy you should listen to. Trust me." Can't have a fully functioning army on his own. So everybody is stuck specializing. So you'll have one regiment specializing in just infantry. So if he goes traitor or crazy or some other nonsense, you could just bring in another regiment with tanks and take him out. Or you get the guy with who goes crazy with artillery. You can just send a bunch of infantry or like dropship troops and just like take them out that way. And so each of them can't work in a vacuum. They'd have to require a cooperative force to function. And so that's kind of like the basis as to why I have Kriegsmen and regular guardsmen and Cadians and Catechins all kind of like working together. And so I'm trying to get it so that they're all in their own little silly color schemes. And so these guys will have the green armor, the other group will have brown armor, the other guys will have silver armor, and so forth. I'm gonna kind of just go Power Ranger style it so that there's a visual distinction on the tabletop for like rules and organizational purposes. And so that's that idea because I can track so that I have the 3 different platoon command squads for the regular guard, the 2 for the Acadians, as I ever expand the forces as we go down the line. And so that way this particular couple platoons with Castellan Creed that I have the character model, they are the Acadian 8th, and they're gonna have their little contingent being meshed into this horse riding Supreme Commander dude's army, ad hoc army. He is gonna be Lord Solar Leontis, and he's doing his thing because his rules are almost too good to pass up in this edition. I mean, it's moved away a bit from it now just because they've made some of the other options a little bit more interesting. And also, I don't like getting shoehorned into the same, like, 3 units, if possible. And so we have the basic combined infantry army. So the Cadians will have the line troops here. I've got some Casterkind with them, and then they've got their like command staff. So a Castellan and the platoon command squads for it, and that's kind of their like detachment and dealio. The Kriegers, they're missing their HQ option right now, so they're just a line corps, so they're just a bunch of infantry, and that's kind of the trench dudes that I've got running right now, and they're the siege regiment. I'm debating whether or not I was gonna upgrade some of the basilisks to have Krieg models on it or not, for the purposes of saying, you know, they're part of the siege regiment, because technically the regular vehicles don't get keyworded to the regiments. And that's where I'm at right now, is I'm trying to figure out which one's going to be the mechanized and who's going to get the Chimera transports. I could give it to the basic guardsmen that I've got, but then I'd have to come up with a regiment name for them. I mean, I'd have to come up with a regiment name for them anyways, but a theme based on what usually I'm going to be playing them as. Because I guess a lot of the named options kind of already have their archetypes planned out for them. I think the Catachans are going to be the light infantry scouts. And then we've got the armored company. That's going to be from its own regiment. And they're kind of attached as they assist the different operations. As we break off a platoon of tanks or whatever to assist in different ad hoc forces. As I rationalize how they end up in the different army lists I build out. Boop-a-doo-doo. That goes there. That comes over here. Alright. So... I don't know if I want to like borrow squad names from like End War or whatever, so we'll have like the vehicles go off of like Boxcar, Slugger, and so forth. Cabby. Can't remember the name of the others right now. Because it broke down based on whatever faction you ended up choosing. Because I know the EDF forces or whatever went off of like European things because they were kind of like the EU style army, and so they went off of like the rivers in Europe that were like named after like Greek gods or whatever. I think it was Greek gods. Where's that? The mountains. Do. And that way I can kind of like roster-wise rationalize how the different squad names maintain, because that's just what that squad is called, not so much as to what the individual guardsmen are. Because this is always going to be this squad. It's not because these guardsmen are actually named the Jim Bob squad. It's just how they do it organizationally. I forgot his shoulders. I remember like in some of the Ultramarine lore, or the old one before they broke everything up, there was like a one squad in the Ultramarine Second Company were like known as the Immortals, and so that was like a cool idea. I was like, ooh, I want something like that. I need to build a lore. So now I gotta see what squads can like match that expectation, basically. Or I guess in this case it would probably be vehicle, considering how short the life expectancy of a guardsman is on the tabletop or in universe. I think there was like a book about that I remember reading. It was titled 15 Hours, and that was the in lore stated life expectancy for a guardsman on this planet for any new recruit that ended up there. It was a neat plot introduction to it, because I would say it would be like a big reveal or like spoiler alert or anything like that, because this literally happened in like the first like 5 pages of the book, where a brand new guard regiment was like raised up, and they were all excited to get their first deployment, and it was like some relatively cushy job, just something to ease them into the horrors of the galaxy or some other nonsense. But I think it was just like a regular human uprising they were gonna go deal with, so nothing too crazy, allegedly, or so they thought. But somewhere along the line, somebody entering coordinates in the vast forms of the Munitorum bureaucracy fat fingered the coordinates, and so that one digit change threw off the course of this guard regiment deployment. So instead of going to one planet, they ended up at a whole other planet, and there was no corrective check along the way. So these guys end up getting slowly dropped off in this other area, and they're shot out of the sky by the orcs, and they end up crash landing on the planet. And so we follow the progress of our protagonist as he makes his way to the nearest guard trench line, as the regiment that he came with is like torn to shreds around him, and he ends up making it there and now trying to figure out how to get back to everything else and where he fits in this new world of guard nonsense. And as we go into like the different lore aspects of, it's like, oh yeah, orcs and how they behave and how their fighting style works, and then they kind of like go into the explanation of, it's like, oh, you're here now, and that's their like idle chatter there at the front line. They're talking about the average life expectancy, and it's like, oh, they said it, the name of the book. And we get to see more of his tale. It's a good read. I recommend taking a look at it if you ever have the chance to either find it at your library or at a used bookstore or something. I don't know if they still print it. A lot of the older books vary in availability, because I remember some of the Cyphus Kane books have like weird collector's editions like listed on Amazon. So if you like try to find the first book, and you're gonna see a random Caves of Ice book that's like $300, and you're like, why is this $300? Oh, because it's an out of print collector's version of it, but it doesn't quite state that. So you kind of like up to like looking around for it yourself. But yeah, 40K is just absolutely full of interesting narratives because you've got all these different unreliable narrators because everyone's telling the story for their own factions. So you honestly can have very contradicting reports of events that happen, and they're both, for all intents and purposes, canon. Because you could have regular Space Marines just absolutely tearing through anything and everything they see, and then like other books, you'll see them like reduced to ribbons, and you're like, well, yeah, it kind of just happens that way. It's just the grim darkness of the far future. It really is just dark. As you see, like the different tales of mankind standing up against the horrors of the universe. That's a big draw as to why I play guard. It's just your regular person just not having it. Not being your superhuman warrior with all the genetic enhancements. It's just some dude with a fancy rifle just doing his best. Am I still in? Oh, I probably should check, actually, see if I didn't wander too off the track here. I kind of just let it autoplay. I don't have it going through a specific playlist. Yeah, it looks like I finished it. That'd be fine. I was like, this isn't Dark Tide. I think we wandered into Wolfenstein territory, but it doesn't seem too far off topic, so I'll leave it for now. Now I want to try to build a all infantry guard list now. Historically, it's not done well, but I just really like the aesthetic of just having 300 dudes on the table and just facing down whatever. It's just the issue is they have such poor ballistic skills, so they hit on like 4s on the die roll, and sometimes you just don't get the 50-50 odds you think you should be getting. Oh well. Dishonored. Alright. We'll continue down that rabbit hole. We're almost done. We got a couple guys. We hit the 2-hour mark. Do. So many guardsmen, so little time. I wonder what even would go by. So if we go by like regiments, and we say, this is the Cadian 8th, because I think in the Cyphus K novels they went with like the Valhallans, and that was their themed guard regiment that they were kind of like portraying. And so they had the Valhallan 213th or something like that, and it was like an all-female regiment. And then they got mixed in, or when a guardsman regiment is depleted by losses and they're not able to sustain being brought back up to full strength, in a sense, they kind of just like merge them together to create other regiments, and they like kind of share the histories. So in many cases, you've got a Cadian and like a Catachan regiment, and they kind of merge together. So now they're a mechanized jungle fighter force that kind of like share their skills and traits and whatnot as they now become a brand new fighting force. And that's kind of easier to deal with administratively in lore than trying to secure reinforcements for a unit because you don't want to put too many new guys into a veteran unit, because then you'll have a different set of experience issue. It'd be easier just to put two experience units together. At least that was the thought process, and that's kind of how they roll with it. Oh yeah, so they had the two Valhallan regiments. One was comprised of only males, and the other one was nothing but females. And weird administrative things, they kept their recruitment thing set up so that it would be an equal ratio of whatever. And so they ended up just like merging the names of the regiment or numbers so that they were like the 500s something or other. And so I'm kind of tempted to do that and just like do like each regiment will have like a number and just will merge together to make a new number, and then I could refer to the smaller number for other things coming back in lore. Let's see, because we got the Cadian 8th, we can do like the Krieg 12th, the Catachan. I don't know what would be another random number. Magic 8 Ball, can you help me? Yeah, sure, whatever. Oh, come on, you said that last time. Whatever. See how it is. Boop. Alright, one more. But see, then I gotta now decide on like what the other like weird ancillary auxiliary vehicles go. And I guess technically I could just leave them as undefined, but then trying to. Well, I guess yeah, I wouldn't have to do it defined now because we could just say administratively that is that regiment's thing, and I just wouldn't have to worry about putting markings on those because there's not only going to be 12 vehicles or whatever assigned to this particular entity, but it'd be cool to have a bit more personalization on the vehicles, I suppose. But I'm probably just going to end up having to settle for the ambiguity of just having a bunch of unnamed vehicles for transport purposes, or like the Scout Sentinels not really being assigned to an overarching faction or a regiment in the Guard. They're just here, which is unfortunate because I really wanted something similar to like Dead Man's Hand, but like with a full backstory, essentially, in the sense of, oh, they're part of this group here, they're assigned for this reason. Speaking of Sentinels, I need to get more Sentinels. I gotta see if I can budget out for that upgrade later on, because those particular walkers are silly little things, but they are useful. Oh no! My tracking died. I'll have to see about adjusting that real quick. I'll have to. Nah. I think we'll call it here. I will try to raid out though. I have to check to see who I know is online. But not bad. We got decent progress. We're getting close to matching the other group here, at least. Just a few more touch-ups. And one more final colors. But I can do that another day. First, let's fix that. Will that... No, that just doesn't update anymore. Okay. Yeah, we'll just go to this tab. Who is online today? He's Genshining. Already hit them this month, so I don't want to double up on raids there. What are you doing? Oh, they're playing Mahjong. Eh. Who else is... Do 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 do. Oh, he's playing with that. Okay. Tacky bomb. Oh, it did zoom in. It's just the camera's weird like that. Okay. Do 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 do. Yeah, let's see if somebody else is painting right now. Audio, audio. Where to go? Was he one of the VIP ones? I think he is, because considering he has access to the game right now. Nah. Wait, no, I can't do it on that one, but I can do it on this one. Here we go. This tab, this person, I'm gonna make sure I spelled the name right, 'cause don't want to misspell it and wander to an offline thing, because I've had that happen before. Gonna raid somebody playing Squirrel with the Gun. Well, I'm ending stream. My tracking is dead, so we're just gonna pop out here. Let's see, this command, this command. I'm gonna do this. Thank you all for stopping by. Look at painting some different models. We'll probably look at painting some Catachans next week on Wednesday. Tomorrow I'm going to be playing Space Marine 2. Joining the hype on that for all the pre-order bonus nonsense. I'll probably just do like multiplayer stuff. I'll probably save story thing until after it officially releases for everybody else. Because I hear there's a lot of like regular upgrades you can kind of like grind out in the weird what's it called? In between. Anyways, thank you all for stopping by. Catch you next time.